This meeting is being recorded.
What's going on, guys? Another episode here, Mental Doms, Ron Trammell, Coach B, Coach Jacob Maynard, along with Seth Warren. My first time on the boat with him at the same time during a podcast. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And good to meet you virtually.
Yeah.
We can't contract COVID with each other, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, so apparently Zach's got like this grand master plan. At this time, I'm turning it over to him and letting him steer this boat.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate the honors. Go ahead, Maynard.
Why are we all different sizes? Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I don't have the answer for that one. All right, so here's how it's going to work. I'm going to ask each of you a question. You're going to have 1.5 minutes to answer your question. At that 1.5 minutes, you're going to hear a buzzer notifying you to shut your mouth up. I'm then going to allow one other person to rebuttal the statement for 30 seconds. Then you'll hear another noting for the second person to shut his pipe up. And then we'll move on from there. Everybody good?
Is this around the horn?
This is then I will politely tell you the correct answer to each question.
This is around the ski slopes.
This is circling the ship on a ski slope. All right, Trammell, you're up first. Are you ready?
More than I'll ever be.
All right.
Sorry.
Knowing what you know now, if you are the GM for the Jacksonville Jaguars, would you still take Trevor Lawrence, #1 overall pick last year? And do you think he is still a generational quarterback? Knowing what you know now. Go.
All right. If I am the GM of the Jacksonville Jaguars, first and foremost, I am in a very shaky, unstable situation that hasn't been able to truly find itself as a franchise. They had a few good years there with a decent defense, but they haven't been able to figure it out. The owner's a little shaky. So first and foremost, if I'm the GM, I'm fearful of my job security. To address the head coaching situation. If I could go back in time, obviously I've never hired Urban Meyer. But yes, Trevor Lawrence, short answer, jury's still out. I think as a GM, there were some variables that played this whole year, starting with the Tebow signing and the drama behind Meyer and just the roster as a whole. There's just a lot of inadequacies across the whole organization. So I think I still draft him. Who else at that time do you take? You've got to take a QB. Hindsight's 20/20 always. The Browns thought Josh Allen was a project QB in the Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson class. And first 2 years, Josh Allen is percentage-wise one of the worst quarterbacks in the league.
Can't hear it, Zach. You're out of time, Trevor.
All right, you're out of time.
I thought it was a minute and a half.
1.5 minutes. That 1.5 minutes came and went. Was there any, Maynard, you or Seth, do either of you feel differently from what Trammell said?
First of all, if I'm the GM of the Jags, I worry that nobody wants to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's a valid question. But I think, Trevor Lawrence, yeah, he didn't have a great year, but is there anybody around him that's real good? No. So you can't judge him off of that.
Valid point. I just want to point out Jamar Chase was drafted 5th overall, but if there's nobody to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, it's hard to justify. So based in the situation, I agree. I feel like you still draft him. I don't think he's a generational quarterback because a generational quarterback would have overcame a lot of the things that he was dealt. Next up, Maynard, this one's for you. You are AA for a day. Those of you that are listening that don't know who AA is, that is Alcohol Anonymous. No, just kidding. Alex Anthopoulos, GM for the Atlanta Braves. So you are poised with a decision. Your contract stipulations are tight. Your budget's tight. You only get to sign one of these players for, there's no such thing as a franchise tag in the MLB. But you got to sign. You only get one. Are you signing Freddie Freeman? You signing Ronald Acuna?
Oh, whoa!
Go. No. Which one are you taking and why?
Wait, Acuna's already signed.
That is not what I asked you. That's not what I asked you.
We don't have to make the decision. Acuna's already signed.
What? I'm asking. You're not listening to me.
As of today, I got it. I know. I just don't want to answer. As of today, I take Acuna, because he's
Wow.
younger. Because he's younger. And
What about injury prone? Freddie Freeman's best first baseman in the league.
you're right, he is. But Acuna is one of the top outfielders in the league, in a league of young players. And I think Freddie's a great leader. Don't get me wrong in this, but I think Acuna is one of those guys that leads by his actions, that leads by his personality. He's very outspoken. He's very energetic, and guys want to play alongside guys like him. And plus, he's really, really good, and he has all the tools. He can throw it, he can hit it, he can run the bases. So I think at his age, because you're looking at 5 years down the road, Freddie's going to be a little older. Acuna's still in his mid-20s. So you go with Acuna. Yeah.
Do either of y'all disagree?
I don't know enough about baseball.
Oh, my God.
What about you, Trammell?
I am currently running down a rabbit hole from the prior question to rebut you, Behringer. 2013, Josh Gordon essentially sets, especially on the per game basis, Josh Gordon with the Browns sets like the single season reception record per game, right? Because he missed 2 games because, of course, he was high on marijuana. Could you name all the quarterbacks in which he set that record?
Yeah, I got a jersey that's got tape going through all of them. It's pretty cool.
Is that
No.
is that a Case Keenum? Is he one of them? Johnny Manziel?
No, I think Jason Campbell was the best quarterback that
Jason
Josh
Campbell,
Gordon ever had.
Josh McCown was there.
No, that was after Gordon. It was worse. Brian Hoyer before he even had success, and there was a few others too. But long story short is you're talking about Jamar Chase. Sometimes if he's so elite though, he's quarterback proof.
I agree. It's his athleticism is definitely showing that he could be an elite guy for years to come. So I do agree. But we've talked about in a couple of last episodes, quarterback play in the NFL. I mean, you gotta have it no matter. I mean, quarterback play trumps wide receivers, or better quarterback trumps a better wide receiver, I guess is the right thing to say. And in a Jaguar situation, if I'm them, I still take Trevor Lawrence, even though Jamar Chase could be the next Randy Moss. We don't know the answer to that yet. Anyway, moving on. Seth, you ready?
I guess so.
All right. Since 2021, when the transfer portal changed because of COVID, there's been over 1,400 players enter the transfer portal. Over 1,400. Every Division I football roster, they are allowed to give out 85 scholarship players. So that means theoretically there's been enough people in the transfer portal to cover over 16 teams. That's more players, scholarship players in the SEC conference, which that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of players in there. What is your solution to get a handle on it? Or do you feel like the way it is fine, no changes? Trammell and Maynard's already answered it last week, so this one's for you. What's your thoughts on moving forward?
So personally, I think it's a good thing. I don't think a player should feel like they're trapped out of school. If there's a better situation elsewhere, then I feel like they should have the right to go after that. I know some people personally that have made a transfer to a place and realized that wasn't really the place either. They're running out of eligibility, still not getting playing time, and being able to make like a second transfer without having to sit a year potentially. I think it's personally a good thing. I don't really know of any changes that I would make, but I'm not in a situation to make the changes. But I think I'd probably keep it the way it is. That's before the buzzer. Boom.
All right. Trammell, Maynard, anything to add before I tell you the correct answer here?
Yeah, real quick. Yeah, these fools last week, Seth, is all against the transfer portal. We have one life to live. They need to do what they do best for their life.
Make the decision right the first time.
All right. So here's how the solution goes. All right. You should be able to get anytime there's a coaching change. I feel like as a player, you should be allowed to transfer on any coach anytime your head coaching leaves. I feel like that's fair. You shouldn't be forced to play for somebody you didn't commit to sign with anyway. That's sort of the answer. But for them to be able to transfer 2 and 3 times, just without any, it's the same with high school. Now granted, it's a little bit as far as like if you move in the HSA, you're automatically eligible, but there's got to be something to keep it from just freelancing, just nonstop.
All right. What about someone that is on their second school and they're like, they got 1 year of eligibility left. They have not touched the field yet. They don't get a third transfer.
Well, why would they go there to begin with?
Well, someone that starts Power 5, moves down GO5 or FCS, still doesn't get playing time, can move down a second time to FCS.
If you're going to move down, but you can't go lateral. You can't make a lateral move. Like, I'm okay with the moving down but I don't like these guys that can go from Auburn to Alabama. It's different if you're going from Alabama to Jacksonville State. Who cares? I'm not going to watch you play anyway.
So Seth, I gave you this question because, people I don't know if Trammell knows this, but Seth was a GA on the strength and conditioning for the Georgia Bulldogs. So he's got, for people actually listening to this, you've got more insight to a Power 5 football than any of us three, since you've been there firsthand. But I do want to know real quick, 30 seconds, what is your thoughts on Burton leaving Georgia, going to Bama?
I was so upset when I saw that. I hope he does well. I like the kid. I really hope he does well. And I know he will. But seeing him go to Bama, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit.
So after that happening, you still don't feel like there needs to be any changes to the rules. You're still like, it's okay. Even after that.
I don't know his personal reason for leaving. I have no idea the situation. If you felt like it was the right thing for him, I guess.
I respect it. Anything else to add, guys?
Trammell does.
All right, go ahead, Trammell.
5 seconds. Actually, 10. You're telling me that a coach has never lied to a student athlete. Oh yeah, come on, son, we'll play you. And then boom, he's in a horrible situation. That can happen 3 straight times to a kid. I think he's got unlimited ability to make as many decision changes that best fits his life. So I'm done.
That was way over 10 seconds.
I respect your opinion, and you make really good points. So I'll leave it there.
All right, so I have a question about this.
Oh my gosh.
I know it's not this year, but if you transfer within conference, is there still like a rule you get to sit out a year?
They did away with every one of those. There's nothing in play now.
You don't have to sit out for anything now. Okay. You tear your ACL, you play the next day. It's cool. Whatever.
Something's got to be. Now, I don't know the correct answer, but I feel like something's got to change. Moving on, Trammell. The Cleveland Guardians, formerly known as your Cleveland Indians, had a recent name change for those that are not in the loop. Seth, I'm not sure if you knew about this or not, but the Cleveland Indians are no longer Cleveland Indians. They're the Cleveland Guardians. And because of the Native Americans, felt like it was inappropriate. The Seminoles of Florida State, the Utes of Utah, the Chiefs of Kansas City, the Braves of Atlanta, and the Blackhawks of Chicago are the only remaining Native American nicknames for professional sports teams in the country. Do you feel that a change, number one, do you feel change is necessary? Do you agree with it, with them getting rid of it? Should this rule be mandated from the commissioner's office of each league? Or is this just absolute crap? Go.
Before you speak, you could stop every person from ever watching our show again with this answer.
I know he didn't give me like the most sensitive political question of all time.
But you're the best one to answer, so that's why you were chosen.
Thank you. I don't know.
You start Trammell. Wow.
So no, obviously, if folks are offended, regardless of race, if we're talking about something else, of course, we need to take that into consideration. I don't know the backstories behind it all, and if there's certain tribes and Indians that were truly, desensitized, if you will, I'm sorry, defamed or made fun of, completely get it, completely understand. The problem I have is the Dolan's on the Indians, and they're continually still allowing for Indians merchandise to be sold and to be profited on. This decision was made over a year ago. That's the problem that I have. There's a lot of hypocrisy involved. It has nothing to do with, the actual Native Americans, but I could go in further, but I'll leave it at that.
Do you feel like this is more of a ploy for money? Or
Not
do you
so
feel
much.
do you feel it's genuine? The reasoning behind the change is true, genuine. They feel dishonored. They feel like it's not right to their culture.
Right. Again, I wasn't part of this conversation, so I can't really have a certified opinion. Do I think maybe there's a little bit of political motivation? Sure. But again, I can't say whether or not someone was offended. So I don't, obviously I grew up an Indians fan, and I love the name. I don't really like the Guardians name. Like, I was cool with like Spiders. That was like the name that came in second. But
Is that like something you got to vote on or what?
Yeah, it was sent all.
No.
I think it was sent to the residents.
Residents of Cleveland?
Yeah, Cleveland and surrounding areas.
We made a poll, but I mean, it had no weight bearing. But basically, the board, I think, just made, I don't want to talk about it. Next question.
Maynard, Seth, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah.
Any opinions?
I just think the Indians is not. I think it's like I don't think it's a bad thing to have that as like a representation of anything. And I think the Seminole is that the Florida State? Yeah, I think Seminole tribe has came out and said, like, please do not change the name. Like, we love having the name. And I think, that's just one tribe in one area. They like it. It's not speaking on any other tribe.
This, obviously, being a Braves fan, like Maynard and myself, that's why this has been for me. I have paid more attention to it just because I don't want the Braves to lose their name. I agree 100% with you, Trammell. It's hard to make a comment on if something offends somebody else because it's impossible to know the answer to that. But just from my personal perspective, if I'm a part of a Native American tribe or even whatever else you're part of, and somebody wants to name them after me, I feel like personally I would love to be like have that team to like that's my team. So kind of like what Seth mentioned with Florida State. I feel like that should give you like a sense of pride, like you should be proud and have that team to join the part with. But yeah, it could be a little sensitive, so we'll move on. Maynard, you ready?
I'm born ready.
All right. So once again, we've kind of had tidbits of this before. Do you know who the MLB all-time hits leader is?
Pete Rose.
All right. Do you know who the MLB all-time home run leader is?
Barry Bonds.
All right. Do you know who the MLB all-time most Cy Youngs won ever is?
No,
Clemens.
I feel like it's not Nolan Ryan, but I know where this is going, so it's got to be Roger Clemens.
It is Roger Clemens. All right. So good. In 2020, Ted Simmons got inducted to Baseball Hall of Fame.
Who's that?
Exactly. He had a career 285 average. He had 248 career home runs, which if you're quick at math, that's 514 less than Bonds. And he had 2,472 hits. That's over 1,700 less than Pete Rose. Next one. In 2013, Deacon White got selected to MLB Hall of Fame. He had 2,000 hits, which is over 2,000 less than Pete Rose. And he only had 24 home runs. All right. Do you know who Deacon White is?
No.
Does anybody know who? Yes. All right. So obviously people that listen, they know my opinion on the steroid users. But Pete Rose came out and made a comment that if they're not going to put him in the Hall of Fame while he's still alive, he wants no part of it. When he's dead, he wants nothing to do with the Baseball Hall of Fame. Do you think there's ever going to be a moment where players are going to start looking at this saying, Hall of Fame's a joke, thanks, but no thanks? Do you ever see that happening with the trend that's going right now?
I want to start by saying Pete Rose is betting for his team to win. It's not like he was betting on to lose, but that's beside the point.
Correct.
I don't see these guys ever getting in. So I think there's got to be an asterisk or something. I don't know. I've read the comments where they talked about, making a special section where they say the steroid users, but you guys know I think they should be in. I mean, he hit 700 something home runs. Steroids help him hit the ball a little farther, but it still didn't affect him. It didn't make him hit the ball, is my kind of reasoning on it. And I think there's so many guys that were using it then in that period. Let these guys in, and now we're going to ban it. Because, at the time it was okay. There's so many guys doing it. What about the guys that we question? We don't know for sure that so-and-so did it. So we're going to let him in or not let him in. But we know it's just a tricky situation. I think you got to let these guys in. And then from this point forward, nobody that uses it gets in.
Do you think it ever becomes a laughing joke though?
That these guys didn't get in?
Yeah. Do you think people's looking at this saying the Hall of Fame is not everything it's built up to be? It's obviously a joke. It's a political move. It's the guys voting on it could just have hatred in their heart. It's a lot of reason why somebody get in.
After you get these guys off the ballot, no. Go ahead, Trammell.
All you, Trammell.
Yes, I love this. So Ted Simmons, 1994. He was only in the ballot 1 year, got 3.7% of the vote, right? Literally have to have 5% to even remain for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, I guess C-League or whoever it was and somebody else basically advocated many years later to put him in the Hall. That right there is politics. Like, what do you mean advocated? Like 3.7% of essentially the voters said, okay, sure, maybe think about it. But that is like you said, a great example, completely flawed system.
Your stats didn't get better.
Exactly. Nothing changed other than people,
yes.
I don't know, drank a few beers and said, hey, let's put this guy in. He's our buddy, so not cool.
I agree.
Also, Behringer, I don't know if you looked at it, Andrew Jones did not get in. He should have got in. One of the best top 3 or 4 defensive center fielders ever to play the Major League Baseball.
David Ortiz took steroids, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
That was my final point. That was my final point.
And he had an affair with a drug lord's wife and got shot. How about that?
That's just being Big Poppy. That ain't nothing wrong with that. But I
have an affair. Don't pick a drug lord.
He probably got tired of the normal life. He needed some spice. But I do want to piggyback on Trammell's statement. People that don't know that, I like Big Poppy. I enjoyed watching them in the postseason run when they beat the Yankees and won the pennant and won the World Series. But he sucked when he played for the Twins. And when he got traded to the Red Sox, it was the same time Manny Ramirez showed up from Cleveland. Trammell, you remember that guy named Manny Ramirez, Man Ram?
Sure do.
That real big defensive. He was a big defensive guy, wasn't he?
Hey, so Manny Ramirez tested positive. David Ortiz tested positive. And so that's part where I just feel like you're going to get somebody like very egotistical. I could see if Antonio Brown played baseball, I would bet money that mug might say, I ain't going in the Hall of Fame. I don't want you thing. It's a crock of crap. Anywho, we spent more time than we should. Seth, you ready?
Yep.
All right. So obviously having D1 Power 5 coaching experience under your belt, you get the opportunity if you get hired as a head coach at a Division I Power 5 conference. We're going to use Missouri as our team just because Missouri's had some spurts of success, but they've also just traditionally not been able to get over the hump. So you're given the keys to the Tiger Dome. I want to know the very first thing you were doing as head coach outside of your interviews and your press conferences. Like what move are you taking? The very first move you're making to help make Missouri get them back on the map?
Aside from hiring coordinators and stuff, first thing you got to do is just same thing we talked about earlier. Got to get in the transfer portal. Got to find guys that are going to make an impact, I think, right away. And then start building a recruiting board as well. Really try to find hidden talent in Missouri.
All right, let me stop you. You said you were going to hire a coordinator. Are you going offense or defense first?
Or strength conditioning coach?
Yes. Someone that can funnel cash. Legally.
Well, I feel like a school like Missouri, it doesn't matter either way because you're not going to get the cream of the crop of either one. I'd say
Not
probably
yet. Not yet. I mean, you might be. You turn it around.
Not year one, you're not getting the cream of the crop. I'd say probably defense. If you're in SEC, you got to stop. You're going to play Bama. You're going to play high-powered offenses. The LSU team's going to get even better. Ole Miss is going to stay around high-powered offense. I mean, I feel like – I guess you make an argument for either way, but I feel like I played defense. I'm a higher defense coordinator first.
Right.
Come back.
Who's your ideal defensive coordinator that you're taking?
I really don't know.
you get Kirby Smart from Georgia? You going to say, hey, come be my coordinator?
I mean, yeah, if we're going to choose head coaches, then yeah, sure. I'd definitely go with him.
All right.
I mean, I'd take a Will Muschamp.
All right. You got 10 seconds left. What position player you want worst? You going after Caleb Williams as your quarterback? You going after a big defensive guy? Who you going for all out?
Man, I'm going for a quarterback. I'm going for a quarterback on the offense. I'm also going for a quarterback on the defense. So I'm going for a middle linebacker, and I'm going for a quarterback.
I like it. Trammell, Maynard, you got anything to add?
I mean, I think they just hired me. Why they hire Seth?
I respect that. All right, Trammell, you're up. This one's going to be a little bit easier. You shouldn't piss anybody off with any answer here. All right. So we all know Nick Saban is arguably – there's no argument. Nick Saban's the greatest college football coach ever. Whether you like Alabama or not, you can't argue it. I mean, he's shown he's the greatest ever. And what sucks now is, as we all know, Nick Saban had 3 or 4 years to build this thing up. And, he struck gold about year 3. And now it's hard to it's hard for coaches to have that much time to get their program built up because they want their team to be like Nick Saban's team year 1. Yeah. I mean, and so it's hard to get that built up. So my question for you, who is the next Nick Saban? Who is that next guy, that next program? Because Nick Saban's going to eventually die. I mean, he ain't got, 30 years. He'll be gone in 30 years. So he'll eventually be out of the game. Better? All right. Okay. Who's your next one?
Okay, well, it's not going to be Seth Warren. He's probably going to – Seth, by the way, is going to win a total of 5 games in 3 years because he does things the right and moral way. He'd be a good man and win governor probably, but he would lose every game except like against Northeast and Cornerstone Christian Academy. But in terms of the next Nick Saban, I think it's going to be somebody that – really doesn't fit the mold of a Nick Saban. His old school approach still works, and he's been able to adapt to new philosophies. We're talking about hurry up offense. We're talking about transfer portal. We're talking about NIL. But he's one of a kind. So, I don't think it's going to be a Nick Saban-ish type next Nick Saban. I think the next person that's going to be dominant in college football, though, is someone I'll be honest, who's flashy, because money talks. But if they regulate the NIL, then we're talking about somebody different. But like someone like a Deion Sanders lands at Florida State, I don't know.
Give me a name. Who you taking? Give me a name.
Jeremy Pruitt.
Oh my gosh,
that was a lot.
I respect it. I was hoping he would have a better tenure at Tennessee, but I think he'll come back. I'll roll with you. All right, Maynard, 30 seconds.
Lincoln Riley.
Oh,
USC. Lincoln Riley, USC. He's done everything you just named. What did you say? High-powered offense, NIL, transfer portal, showboat. You name it. Everything you said, Lincoln Riley can do it or already has done and is doing at USC.
Blow big-time games.
Well, that wasn't on your list. I just said.
I say personally, I think the Baylor head coach. I don't know his full name or his name, but I think Baylor's going to be. They were
Art Briles.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely not Art Briles.
No. But yeah,
Dave Miranda.
Terrible. Recently, and that all of a sudden they came out of nowhere and won the conference, and I think they're going to be around for a while. I think he's the next big coach.
Y'all are actually all wrong. It's actually going to be Lane Kiffin. Moving on, Maynard.
I strayed away from that today. Did you notice?
I believe her. I think he's flashy, like Trammell said. He's got money. He's got people in his back pocket. So I'm going to say Lane Kiffin's going to be the next guy. All right, Maynard. After last week's NFL playoffs, arguably the greatest weekend of NFL playoffs in the history of ever. There was obviously a big controversy with the Bills, Chiefs, and the overtime. Mm-hmm. Right, you get to take the role of Roger Goodell. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are you now? You
abandon
can
Antonio Brown.
You
That's
can
an awful person to be.
You can change the overtime rules. You can either change it for the regular season and the playoffs, or just the playoffs, or you can leave the overtime rules as they are. But I want to know: are you making any changes so that don't happen again?
I'm okay with leaving it in the regular season. I really am, but I think you got to change it in the playoffs where the other team at least gets the football. Let's kind of have a college approach, because I think college has kind of got it figured out now, where hey, you get a turn, I get a turn, and then they make them start going for two. I think that added a lot of excitement. But NFL is built around offense. Everybody knew whoever got the ball first was going to win. There was no doubt in anybody's mind. It's an offensive league, and that's what people want to see. So let's give the other team's offense a chance, because, I mean, was there any doubt they were going to score? No. I mean, I think everybody knew that. So go ahead, Trammell.
Statistically speaking, since the inception of the overtime rules with the coin flip, 52% of the time, the team who wins the coin toss has won the game. Which, I mean, that's somewhat even, if you will. But for entertainment value, yes, let's change the format. But if I'm Roger Goodell, first of all, I'm quitting my job because I suck at my job, and secondly, roughing the passer requirements and targeting and everything else that's been going on, as well as how he handles a lot of matters. He's the worst commissioner of all three sports, and that's saying a lot, because that's in a world in which oh my God, the MLB Rob Manfred lives in, and Adam Silver, he's okay. He's just weird.
All right, do any three of y'all, before I tell you the correct solution to fix it, y'all? I mean, Maynard, you said both teams gets one chance on offense. I mean, like, what is the? I mean, you saying change it strictly to what college has?
No, just keep it what you got, but just give the other team a chance with the football in overtime.
I got you.
So you get the ball first, you score, well, the other team gets it, and then you score, then it's tied up. Well, then we're going back.
I got you. Okay, Seth, you got anything?
I like that idea. Give the other team a chance.
All right, here's what they need to do. Overtime period is 15 minutes long. Why can't we just play 15-minute, one extra quarter, winner take all? Because if you watch overtime, a lot of overtime, the first drive takes 6 or 7 minutes. So it's going to be the same thing. Yeah.
Change it for the playoffs.
Just play the quarter out. I mean, if a team can control the ball for 15 minutes, I mean, hats off to them. But just play the quarter out. It makes it simple. That's the way football is played anyway. It's it's not hopscotch. Anywho,
my question is, do you go to second overtime?
No.
What if you're tied after the first one?
You can't tie in a playoff game.
Go to the second overtime.
All right.
We have a kickoff.
All right, Seth, you got one last question for you, and then one final question for everybody. Seth, college football playoffs, they got to be expanded. We saw the excitement that was built up the last month, the last weeks. Everybody was tuned in. We had 6 to 8 teams that could legit be in the playoffs. So if we expand it, imagine how much more chaos and how much more dramatic it'd be. What's the best way to expand it? Or are you like Trammell over here shaking his head saying, keep it at 4? He probably like the BCS. He probably like just 2. I mean, but what you got for me?
All right, so real quick, right now, New Year's Six games are like now meaningless bowl games.
Yes,
I agree.
And back when BCS was a thing, that was not a thing. Like, people were proud to be in those bowls. People didn't skip those. They didn't sit those games out to prep for the NFL. They always played in them. What happens if we go 12 teams and we got the number 4 team going against number 12, and then now it's just a meaningless playoff game? Are we gonna eventually have kids sitting out of a playoff game potentially? I mean, I think that's probably worst case scenario if we do expand. I've always been a big advocate of 12. I heard that argument recently, and it kind of changed my mind. I don't want that to happen. I think more fun football games would be, I mean, good, better for the audience. But if it gets to the point where number 12 team gets blown out every year, and then all of a sudden it's just the top 4 teams make it, then what do we really do besides?
First round games in the playoffs are blowouts anyway. Statistically proven, the average margin is like 17.5 points. So I don't like that argument. And I don't like hearing that argument on TV because I feel like they're getting blown out anyway. What happens if a 12 seed beats a 4 seed? Chaos, madness. I mean, it's going to make the NCAA football have more parity. And if you're going to sit out in a playoff game, you don't need to be playing college football anyway. I agree. I agree. I mean, I understand a bowl game just because they don't mean anything, but if you're going to sit out in a playoff, that's just garbage. Trammell, what you got?
When the NCAA tournament was a field of 64, you had that 65th team. We should have made it. We got left out. Same applies here. You go from 4 to 12, don't matter. There's been like 6 teams in the last 20 years that win the national championship. And he's going to waste everybody's time. We're going to go, oh, yeah, we've got the other 8 teams now, and they've never won. Same situation.
We got to add it so Notre Dame can make it every single year. That's what everybody wants.
It needs to be 12. It needs to be 12 and conference champion. Get an automatic bid for the Power 5. Throw 1 or 2 group of 5s. It needs to be moved to 12. Final discussion. All right, last question. This is for all of you. We got to make it quick because we don't know how much time is actually left on the timer. All right. There are 129 FBS Division I football teams in the league. There's 10 conferences, Power 5, Group of 5, 10 total conferences. Obviously, a big change among college football landscape is hardly going to happen just because there's so many voices. There's so many guys. There's so many.
Look like a minute. Explain the question.
Yes, the answer is yes.
All right. So the SEC, the SEC tried to make a change by pulling everybody in so they could have their own championship conference. But if you could do whatever you wanted to change the entire landscape of college football, what are you changing?
Make me commissioner.
All right, Trammell. You change anything you want.